My name is Victoria Moses. I was born on the 4th of June, 1921. My father's name is Arthur Moses, and my mother, Marian Collis. And then she married named Marian Moses. I have 3 brothers and 6 sisters. The first one was Naomi, and the second one was Millicent. Third, Robert. Fourth, Emilia. Fifth, which is me, Victoria. The sixth is Jane. The seventh, Rosalie. Eighth, Maxman. Ninth, Edmund. And the 10th, George. In Chateaubriand, the town of Chateaubriand, my father was a farmer, and he planted all kind of provision. And all the provision he planted, we used to eat them. Every provision. He pick breadfruit, bring it, we eat every food we eat. From breadfruit down, what he used to plant his provision, otherwise we eat all those spring. Then when he plant the provision, my mother, she will plant peas and all those things. And that is what we used to get our livelihood from. When those things come to perfection to sell, we get something, sell and get a little money and get food to eat. And when my father cow have calf, he milk the cow and sell some milk, we get all those, get a little dollar. Who could cook? My sister Naomi, Millicent, Emilia, and after I come to do the kitchen, I do it when my mother can't do it. After I come, could I manage it, I used to have to do the washing and ironing. That was my job. We used to get along very good. At mornings, who to go to the mountain or anything like that, you go to the mountain, you bring home what a provision or what, because those days, money wasn't so good, you know. So parents now they're going to do something, get something to sell, that you could get a little money. When we come from school, you get food, like to buy fish and all those things. And we will go in the mountain, help our parents, to weed the grass and all things like that. When you go to school, come at evening, we go to wash the dishes, you wash them and you're gone to meet your parents again in the garden. We bring home provision and all those things. Like when you plant the provision and you plant corn in it, when the time for the corn, break the corn and give us to bring home to sell. At evening, if any leave, we have make fire in the coal pot and we roast. We have a stone heap in the yard, and we sit down and eat at night, especially if it's moonlight night. We all sit down and eat. Sometimes people passing the road, they call out, we call and we give them, and all those things. And mornings now, when my father, he gone to milk the cow, I have to go and meet him to bring home that milk to sell to people who have to go to work for 7 o'clock. To get their breakfast, they tea with us a tea to go to work and come back. And then when my mother at home, she will prepare our lunch. We gone to school. When we come, we get something to eat. While we eating, she gone to the river, wash out 2 pieces of clothes before we leave the house. So by the time we finish, she will come back and stick around in the yard to do something. She used to bake cassava bread to sell. When she go and buy the cassava, she and my father, they used to go to buy the cassava. And they come home at evening, we scrape the cassava, wash it. If it's plenty, my father will pay a man to help him to grate on the grater. And our mother and we the girls, well, the eldest sister Naomi, Millicent, Emilia and me, we will wring the cassava, wring out all the juice that the cassava to get to bake next day to get our little money. My father, he used to mind cattle, donkey, and pig. And my mother, she used to like to do her goat and chicken, fowl. She used to mind fowl. She and the eldest brother, they used to mind fowl and goat. But my father, he used to have the pig, cattle, and donkey. But sometimes that morning, I have to go and carry the pig food before I go to school. Sometimes rain come in, but I still have to go and feed the pig and come back to go to school. There's no wood in the house. I have to cut some wood, look for a piece of wood and bring home to cook food all those days. Sometimes we had to buy a pencil to go to school, even slate. Those days we used to lose, not books, slate and the reading book and slate. We used to say ABC class. From that class to class 6, a slate we were using. So everybody had the slate going to school. Sometimes some of the children, boys, they play and they take the slate and make bat and mash it up like one volleyball or anything, and they mash up the slate and all those kind of things. I wasn't so good with maths, but reading and English, that was my good subject. And so, well, like Saturday time with the girls, well, how we were living, just like out here and the river there below. We go down in the river to wash. We wash the clothes and dry it, our school clothes, get it ironed. Monday morning we gone to school again and all those kind of things. Those days, it was very good. Children wasn't disgusting, you know. Everybody used to be together. We go in the river, we wash, we bathe, we jam crayfish and all those things we used to do in our days. Big people too will come, sometimes they come and join us when we're doing those things. It was very good in our days. I had a friend, her name was Leonie Sam. She come from Coleshill. She was living with her aunt we were neighbors. She was living with her aunt, Miss Samuel, and one named Leata, Harry, just next door to we. And then our cousin of ours, we all were living in the same yard, Emmeline Walters. We were living in the same yard. Her parents used to run a shop. And we'd run across, we'd buy something, bread or juice or anything like that. And we gone to school. If food ain't ready, you know, we gone to school, eat those things and drink and go to school. When we come at evening now, when anything, the dirty dish to wash, we wash them. Who to go to meet our parents in the garden to bring home food for us to get to our dinner. We gone again to do that. And we wasn't rude children. We used to like to do those things, you see? Run up and down with others. And we were living like here. And the ball ground is over there. There's the river divide. And we will run across and gone over to play. Well, my mother used to stay home and call us if she want us. Call us, and if she want anything in the shop, somebody she call, you run down in the shop, you buy it, you come back and you're gone to play again. At moonlight night, big people will be on the play field, having their play game, and we sit down in the door. Well, they never used to make us go out at night. So we sit down in front of the door and we look at them when they're playing. The father and mother always sit down in front of the door. Those days were very good. Everybody have their own little thing to do. One have to go for the water, because we didn't have pipe on that those days. We have to go for somebody have to go and bring water. Who to go to buy fish, if fish in the market, we didn't have fish market. So when the seine car catch the fish, you know, we go and we buy fish, or go in the shop. When my father come home from the mountain with provision, my mother put out in the tray, and somebody got, well, me, most of all the time, I used to have to go and do the selling of the provision, get the little money for us to buy fish and all those things. But after I leave school, we had a relative. I used to like to do sewing. And my mother used to send, when school on holidays, she used to send me by the lady to learn. Her name was Florence Bork. And then she'd married named Florence James. So she used to send me by her to learn to do sewing. I used to do a little sewing after primary school. And those days, only like, as we used to say, the big folks children then used to go to grammar school and high school. It wasn't like now, children could have go to any of the secondary. We didn't have it so. Who to go in the mountain with their parents, you're gone. Who to stay home, wash 2 pieces of clothes or anything like that, you stay home. You see? It wasn't like these days today. You see? I just want to tell you, after school, my mother sent me by this lady to learn to do a little sewing. When she ain't have to go to the mountain, I gone by it. But when she has to go, I have to go with her too. After our father died, the 4th of September 1942. Our father is the first one who passed away. He died in the hospital. It was the colonial hospital, they call it. He come up the Thursday and the Friday morning he passed away. And the neighbors, they had the boat and they come up and they bring the dead body home. And we didn't have funeral home. So while they fix him up, the carpenter was building the coffin. And by the time he reached home the night, the coffin was ready and they put him in it. And the next morning, it was a Saturday morning. But that Saturday morning, the grave digger had to go back the next day to cover the grave. Too much rain. He couldn't cover good. Plenty rain that Saturday morning. And Saturdays, when my mother had any little thing to sell, they used to send me with the neighbor. The neighbor had a boat. So they used to come to town on Saturdays. And they used to send me with them to sell whatever, like little plantain, pepper, dry peas and all those things. They used to send me with them to sell. But those days were both. When you see rough, you get wet. You sit down. Yes, when you see rough and you sit down, you get sometimes the swell high. Many days I used to frighten when I come in. Got the syrup and the water coming in the boat. Men have to got the thing bailing out the water. Long boat, because 6 men, you know those, you call them the oars? 6 men, yes. 3 on one side, 3 on the other side to pull the boat. 2 men had boat down there, Mr. Tucker and Mr. Robinson. Those Robinson of Rose Hall, they had the boat. Tucker boat was Admiral and Robinson boat was Daisy. We used to ride the sea water on Saturdays. Well, my mother, you know, she used to walk from Chateaubriand to Kingston and sell her load and come back. She used to put the load in the boat. And then she and another lady was living below, her name is Pratt. They'll start to walk, as we don't say first cock, when cock start to crow, they start to walk. She said sometimes as soon as the boat reached to the wharf, they were there too. Used to walk all the morning. On the sea, it's 24 miles, but on the road it's 25, so the people say. And they used to do that walking. But they used to go home back in the boat. But they were walking all the morning to come. 52, December I come to town. That was the first time. The 26th of December. After Jane was going to get married, she asked me to come to stay with her. I was working with Johnny Tuck and his family. But after she was going to get married, she asked me to come to stay with her. So I gave up the work and I come up. Well, life in Kingston was plenty better than Chateaubriand. You see, Kingston was bright. And we didn't have light and electric light down there. You see, no light wasn't there. Sometimes when they come in at early morning, they have the party called Old Woman Point. I don't know if you ever heard anybody say that. When you reach there and you see, look in Kingston, it's bright up and nice. And mother, I had Lorna. I bring Lorna with me too, and she was going to school. She went to Richmond Hill School after I bring her with me. Irene was in the country with an aunt of ours. So Lorna was with me. I have 2 children, Lorna and Catherine. When I got pregnant, my father had already died. That was the big challenge. I had to put, as the people say, put my shoulder to the wheel with them. So that was a big challenge. You had to make up whatever little bit you have to do. Whatever you can do with a little dollar, you do it. You see? Well, Lorna, she was going to Chateaubriand Methodist School, but after I have to come to Kingston, I had to take her with me, and she went to Richmond Hill School. And from Richmond Hill School, she got to Emmanuel. And Irene, she was in the country with an aunt of ours. She went to Bible school. Whatever little money I get, I'd do whatever I could do with it for them. Well, I used to do domestic work with Granny. You see, do her domestic work. By Miss Jennings here, so, in a small house in the yard. She used to live there. Well, after, I was living at Level Garden. Well, we didn't have phone at those days. We used to write letters, you see. We used to contact by writing. Up to the day before yesterday, I think it's in that thing. I have an arm, you call it passport, and it never dirty. I think it's inside it. Never use it. I went to Sufre twice. When I go to Sufre the first time, I was pregnant with Lorna. When I went up to Sufre, Easter Monday, it was a crowd of us, like young people, you know. And I didn't know when I reached the place, you know, a lady girl named Minerva Morris. She and I was second to behind some other people. Minerva said, Vic, watch. And I jumped back. When I see the big thing in front of me, I didn't know I reach up to see the water. And when we on this side, and to look, your spear will see movement, but you don't know if it's people. You see, from this side to the other side, you're seeing the movement, but you don't know if it's people. How it's far, big white thing, like, I did I say white like the wall. This big open thing in front of you. And then my eldest brother, he used to work at Monbentic. When cane time, he used to go to cut cane, he and other men. So my eldest sister knew me. And Easter time, we will go to carry food and whatnot for them. Other people used to go too. So we'll go and carry like a little food, like fried fish, roast breadfruit, and provision and all those things out to Monbentic. Georgetown gave them. Well, it was Easter, Good Friday. I always do my crossbun. So after I finished doing the crossbun, Rothwell was living with me down there. I gave him some to carry for his mother and the other two children who were there. So the neighbor sent her grandson to tell me, Sufre is erupting. So I said, Rothwell, when you go over, tell your mommy, Sufre erupting. So when I come out from and look up, see the red thing on the cloud, and then little grain, like a grain of sand, falling down, you know, and everybody running up and down and watching. I was living down in Level Garden at the time, when Sufre erupted. So the neighbor in Level Garden, husband, was friending with a woman from Curacao, have this place. And well, the woman, she married to a Vincentian, and the husband went back, come home to St. Vincent. So she come with him. But after he passed away, she wanted to go back home to Curacao. So she said she was selling this place. It was a boathouse here. So the wife for the neighbor down, they tell me about this place. So I sent to tell Lorna that this place to sell. And Lorna tell me, yes, try and see if we can get it. So we buy this place from the man Richard. He was in charge of, the lady name was Robinson. So he was in charge of it, and Mr. Richard's wife tell me this place is to sell. So I sent to tell Lorna, and Lorna say we'll take it. So we buy here and build this house. And whatever I have now, when I was at home, I didn't have it, you see. So I achieved many things here, more than when I was at home. I will tell you this, no matter, up to now, you know, don't matter what I don't take on things. Even no matter how hard that thing may be, I just feel it, but I don't really say go down deep to think about, you see? I don't really take on things. Even at home, when we had children at home, when the rest were, you know, I never, I gone to do something. I never from not doing anything. I always want to do it. All we have to do, take care of ourselves, you see? Don't do wrong thing that somebody will always have your name to say, well, Vic do this thing, Vic do that thing, all the thing like that. Just be good to yourself, and whatever good thing you know and can pass it on to someone who you think is less fortunate and they don't know what is good from what is bad, right or wrong, pass on those things to them. I believe in God and I believe in myself, and I am trying to do the best I can. And if I can pass whatever I could pass on to anyone who will take it from me, I'll pass on. I have, let me how much grandchildren? 5 grandchildren. Yolan, Rothwell, Cornelia, Vanessa, and Sumona. Very nice with all of them. What I have or have not, I'm good with all of them. And how many great-grand? My niece and nephew. I'm trying to remember. It's all this, he passed away. Eileen, Annette, she passed away. Osborne, Cecil, Dylan, Arthur passed away, Esther passed away. Corbin and Brian, they're in Trinidad. And who else? Oren, Ashton, Joel, Alson, Charmaine, Marva, Monica, Sharon, Rosem. Oh, it's a lot I can't remember all. And plenty I don't know them. Glad to reach to this age. And I thank the Lord to have me, sparing me to see so many years. In spite of what is happening, you see, He still carry me through these days. I reached to 100. And 10 children, my parents, and my mother and father, they went young too. So if it goes well, I will be the only one to reach 3 figures. I reach to this age and all they have to do, take care of themselves and try and see if they can follow my footsteps to reach to this age. You see, God spared me to see it, and I would like to see. Well, I wouldn't like to see, but someone, I want Connie to reach there.